Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Queen?
Hey, y'all. Hey, it's your girl Kiki, and this is another Damn Shame podcast, VIP Lounge. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest of the evening, Mrs. Giovanna Evans hails from the DMV area. She is a mother, a wife, and a certified life coach with over 15 years experience. Life Coach Vaughn is a successful entrepreneur who is making her mark on the world. She touts herself as a passion and purpose discovery coach who inspires her community to live their life on their own terms. What's unique about Life Coach Vaughn is that she is a certified neuro leader and coach. Y'all, I got the best of the best in the VIP lounge. I'm telling you, Life Coach Vaughn not only provides one-on-one sessions, but she also provides group sessions to her butterflies and monarchs. As a life and business coach, she also trains those who are interested in becoming a life coach. You can find her on Instagram at Life Coach Vaughn or on her website at www.meetlifecoachvon.com. Welcome, Queen, to the
Thank,
VIP Lounge. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
thank you. How
Yeah.
are you all?
Oh my goodness. It's quite sexy in the lounge, isn't it?
It's
The
very sexy in the lounge. I see y'all. They in there sending hearts and fire. Come on, my butterflies. How are you all? I definitely got to give some shout outs, Queen. Before I do that, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here. The Damn Shame podcast and crew. I mean, y'all have been phenomenal from the very beginning. So I'm excited. The vibes are quite sexy in here, and I can't wait for us to really get into this. I'm just saying.
yes.
But I see some special people. I gotta give some special
Okay, give
shout
your
outs.
special shout outs. Welcome to the
So
VIP Lounge.
hashtag FLCA. I have some phenomenal coaches that are going through my Fly Life Coaching Academy, and they are on here showing up. Coach Priscilla's on here, Coach Michelle's on here. I see some of my beautiful forever butterfly queens. I see Jazzy Joyce. Joyful Connections is a phenomenal coach that I've just collaborated with over the years. And I see her on here always supporting a phenomenal support. And Coach Michelle, I see you on here as well. And all of you that continue to support me, I appreciate y'all so much. My last check was up on here. Hey, Kay.
Hey, that's what I'll come through last tech. All
I'm,
right,
I'm
help
she
a girl
keeps
out.
me,
Let you
she keeps
know.
me. I locks it down. If y'all in the DMV area, y'all better go. Her and the Cabana Beauty Bar. I'm phenomenal. She keeps me
That's
right.
it.
Y'all see
That's
me?
what it's all about, bringing and highlighting Black businesses and those women-owned businesses that are just doing the damn thing. Hello, butterflies and monarchs. Welcome to the VIP Lounge. Thank you for joining us tonight. You will not be disappointed. My name is Kiki, and I am the host of Damn Shame Podcast. But look, tonight, let's quickly go through what's going on in the culture. Y'all, I know y'all about quite tired of hearing about Jada Pinkett Smith. But here's the deal. She is her own red table talk, right? Like in real life. She has said that her and Will have maintained this facade for 6 years. Listen, that ain't nothing new in the Black community. We've been maintaining facades for a minute now. So she ain't did nothing new. But what's a damn shame is how that it is affecting their children. And she hasn't talked about that. No one is saying anything about that because, as we know, we are, what are we showing them? Are we showing them to live a lie? Are we showing them that, you can just walk up and slap somebody on sight and there not be any repercussions to it? Now, that's a damn shame. But that's all I'm going to say about it. I mean, I know there, other people who keep going on about it. And I think I'm gonna read the book, or at least get the audio. I don't know if she's worth my time sitting and reading, or just the cliff notes of it. It's something, but it does have our attention. So I thought I needed to bring it up. But I am interested from the children's perspective, how they are handling and how they're maintaining it. So how about Chrissy Snow done died? I said, Lord. Suzanne Summers passed away at the age of 76. She looked amazing to me. I saw recent photos of her. She looked amazing. But I was a Three's Company Chrissy Snow fan growing up. And so I was like, oh, that's sad. So, how about Miss Carly Russell was found guilty on 2 charges of kidnapping for the kidnapping hoax that she claimed back earlier this year. And the state recommends that she gets 1 year of jail time and has to pay $18,000 in restitution. Honey. So I saw a little snippet of Candace Owen begging Carly Russell to come on her platform, and she would pay the $18,000 if she just tells all about where her whereabouts were for that 48 hours that she was missing. I don't know that I care that much to pay $18,000. I don't want a story that bad. I can sit and wait for 18 cents to hear where she was for 48 hours. But I got too much stuff going on to be concerned about that. I know it's a damn shame. She lied and said baby was on the side of the road and she helped and then she went missing. All that. Clearly, as somebody said, my old friend said, something in the milk ain't white. Something ain't right with her. But, it'll be interesting to see how all of that is unfolding. But listen, tonight, we have so much to unpack tonight. So I'm just ready to get right in it. Life truly has its ebbs and flows and twists and turns. And Forrest Gump, he was really on to something when he said, you don't know what you may get. We all are in this season of life be lifing, really, in real life be lifing. And when you hear someone say it, instantly you can relate to that person. It's like no further explanation is needed at all, because life be lifing. Situations look different for everyone, but life be lifing. So we are all in this season of trying to level up, and it's not always easy. But tonight, I found the perfect queen that will come and help us explore and navigate this season of our lives properly so that we can come out of this life be life and phase healthier, wiser, and just in a better space overall. So I'm excited about our special guest and all of the practical tips that she's going to give us here in the VIP lounge tonight. Listen, it's going to be epic and amazing. I was just so energized all day because I know that my community in the VIP lounge need it, and I'm sure there are many across the world that need it. But before we talk about it in depth and get to these list of questions that I have, who do we have on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook? Let's give some shout outs.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we have Lashia Love, Vivi Groveland, Joyful Connections Life Coaching, The Crazy Kirk Girl, 80, Krista G, Sexy Kita, Paulina, and Beat It Drea. Okay.
All right.
And on Facebook and YouTube, we have Bibby, we have Muriel, we have Robin, we have Shelly, we have Keisha KDM. We got a lot of folks online and they keep saying, come on, let's get with it. Keep up the good work. Hello, come on, let's get started.
All
So
right.
the audience is ready.
Well, we jumping right into it. Y'all know what I do. I scroll through IG and I just stumbled across this queen. And, there are no words that really convey what you've impacted just through your social media platform in my life. And so I know that we have been trying to get this thing together, and finally we are here, and I'm so excited. So
Me
I
too. I
want to ask
am.
you, how are you doing today?
I am better than amazing. Thank
I
you
love it.
so much for asking, Queen.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love to hear you say that. I am better than amazing. I don't have those moments where, I'm always better than amazing. I have, some amazing moments in my life. I have some, I had some good days. Y'all know
Right.
that song,
I
right?
had some hit.
Yeah.
Right.
But I've had some hills to climb and they've
Mhm.
been hard.
Mhm.
But we're going to dig right into, how did you really get in started, or what inspired you or fueled your journey to become a life coach?
I love it. I love it. So again, I have to do kind of the formal, just thank you, right?
Mhm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to your team as well, having me on here. And shout out to all of you that's watching tonight. And sis prayed. She prayed us already into it, so it's already blessed. So the
Bless.
ground is already fertile. You hear what I'm saying, y'all? It's already fertile. So with that being said, the reason why one of the things that I always say is that I didn't choose life coaching chose me.
Wow.
No matter how much I attempt to go another way, I was always drawn to it. A little bit about my background. Back, and I'm not gonna give y'all the long drawn out version, just gonna give you pointers so you all can see where I'm going with this. Back in 2010, I was going through a necessary divorce and separation. I had three beautiful daughters from that situation. That's when the housing bubble burst, right? In 2008, 2009. But that wasn't the thing that really destroyed my marriage. It was never fertile to begin with, right?
Mhm.
But I had three daughters from it, and I attempted to make it work as much as possible. So as I was going through that separation, y'all, I had the house went into foreclosure, cars gone, credit tanked, everything went upside down. And my daughters and I were sleeping on the floor and couches of my sister's two-bedroom condo. And I was questioning God, like, I did everything that I thought I was supposed to do. Why me? Why am I going through these trials and these very hard times? And oftentimes I would escape to this hall. It was the bathroom, but it was like a nice walk-in closet. It was a nice walk-in closet. And I would escape there to like 3 o'clock in the morning and cry myself to sleep because my daughters were in the living room and I didn't want them to hear me. And one night I heard it so clear, Queen. You are not alone. And from that very moment that I felt like was the darkest time in my life. Mind you, I'm going to church, I'm in all these organizations, I'm doing everything that I thought I'm supposed to do. But a home that I am no longer welcomed in and feeling comfortable in, I'm sleeping on the floor, somebody else's place. And when I heard you are not alone, that was a very pivotal turning moment for me in my life. And I had to pull myself up by the bootstraps, right? And get myself together. And from that, I took away, you're not the only one that's going through this, but right now, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go through this pain because this is going to push you into your purpose. And
Mhm.
because of that, I started a women's organization called Yana Fly. You are not alone. First, loving yourself. Y'all, this was back in 2010. I
Thank you.
understood that I was going through these things because I truly didn't love myself how I thought I did.
Mhm.
Now, fast forward, and we'll eventually talk about some of the middle pieces of it, right? I went through this whole process, did this women's organization, had 20, 30 women in my sister's 2-bedroom condo, y'all.
Wow.
Meetings,
You know,
having meetings,
I hate to
getting
interrupt real
ourselves
quick.
together, right? Working on credit, working on plans,
Wait a minute,
starting.
one second. Producer lady, did you say something?
I want everyone to be able to hear your amazing story. There's an echo, so we're getting the feedback that there's echo. So
Whose is it for mine?
yes, it's on your side, but let's
Okay.
cut the volume down a little bit and keep talking. Thank you
I
so much.
have, okay. I don't have any of the volumes up. Can you all still hear me? Is it still an echo?
Your volume's down all the way on IG.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Y'all can still hear the echo?
We'll keep talking and then producer lady, you can come in.
Okay. They said they can't hear the echo on their
Okay,
side.
good.
Okay. All right. So I was getting to the point of fast forwarding to now. I went through school. I got degrees. I made the 6 figures. I did all of these things that I thought was the way that God had intended me for me to go. But at the end, there was a void. And he asked me 2 questions. At what point did you have the least and was most happiest? At what point did you have the most and was least happiest? So I had to realize that it really wasn't the money, it really wasn't the house, it wasn't the car, it wasn't all those other people. It was me helping other people.
Yeah.
That's why life coaching chose me.
I love it. I love it. You turned your pain into purpose and
Absolutely.
it has blossomed. And that's the awesomeness of God because we think that we are doing something. And I always tell my circle of friends that God always, sit down, girl. Sit down, little girl. I got this. You think you moving and shaking? You ain't doing nothing. I am the one who is making everything happen. And
Mhm.
so we just have to be still enough to hear him, and that's so dope, and that's what I heard, and that's how you're here today. So tell me, what is the difference between a life coach and a therapist?
I love it. This is oftentimes a very a common question that most people ask. So I like to either describe it a couple of different ways. So when you look at therapy, right? Normally therapists, and again, this is normally, we do have therapists out there that are life coaches as well. But therapists, they are one credentialed to the extent of they have a regulating, a governing body that says you have to go through this process to be able to prove that you know these things. Therefore, they have the right to do things that we can't as life coaches. They have the right to diagnose, right? Psychiatrists, they have the right to prescribe medicines. Normally, they are dealing with some type of past traumas or issues that are impacting someone's ability to move forward in their lives. Okay. So that is on the therapist side of the house. On the life coaching side, I like to identify it this way. We help people strategically align their goals with action. You see? So we don't necessarily have to deal with past traumas per se in order to help you move you forward in your life. Now, there will come sometimes where people will come to us, and I've done this before. Someone has been so engulfed by their past trauma that I would have been doing a disservice to allow them to coach with me and say, I can help move you forward when you're still holding on to your past like that. Okay. Now, let's be honest. That is therapists, that's life coaches, but I'm somewhere in the middle. I have some additional kind of training, support, and things like that that I've been able to somewhat navigate. I still don't diagnose, and again, I understand my scope of work very, very clearly. So those are the kind of, if you want to make distinctions, that's the difference between the two.
I love it. I love it. What's key is that you said you align your goals with your actions. That's very necessary.
Mhm.
You are also a neuro coach. and a neuro leader. Let's talk about that because I like to let everybody know in the VIP lounge, we're not just bringing any and everybody. We want the ones with some credentials behind their names. So let's talk more about that.
Awesome. I love it. So I want to say over the past 4 years or so, 3 to 4 years, I really started really exploring the brain a bit more. So when you're talking about neuroscience is the actual term. So when you're talking about neuroscience, you're talking about studies and understanding of the brain and the nervous system, right? And it's funny because my background is in IT. I used to be when I went to school, my career, my certifications, my degrees. I was a cybersecurity systems engineer. So I'm an engineer at heart. My focus is now changed to engineering of people and the mind versus computers and wires, right? And networks, right? So with that being said, if I wanted to really help my clients, quote unquote, right? I'll refer to them as clients just so everybody will know, but I refer to them as my butterfly queens and my monarch kings. In order to really help them break through limiting beliefs and behaviors, I need to get to the software that's running in your mind. I need to be able to understand the hardware, right? So with me understanding how the brain works, I can help people break limiting beliefs and limiting behaviors. I can help them to see the patterns that's taking place in their lives and also let them know, hey, give yourself some grace because this is what's going on behind the scenes, right? Some people are attempting to figure out like, man, I've been attempting to lose this 40 pounds for the past, 15 years. What's going on? Something is wrong with me. I've been attempting to get out of this unhealthy relationship. Why am I continuing to be drawn to it? So things of that nature. And because I understand the patterns and what's really taking place in the mind and in the brain and your reactions and responses to it, I can help bring awareness to those things. And you can say, oh my God, yes, that makes sense. And now we have actual strategies that we can introduce in order to break those things.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So you talked about those patterns and things that have happened, your experiences in life, and you kind of keep going through the same cycles.
Mhm.
And I know that I am guilty of it, and surely some people in the VIP lounge are guilty of it. And a lot of it stems from maybe not properly healing from traumas that we had, where certain things just keep showing up in our lives.
Mhm.
Talk about how we can get beyond that. How can we move beyond that and begin to properly heal?
I love it. I love it. I love it. So, when we're talking about cycles that really take place in life, so there's a couple of things I want to talk about as it pertains to cycles. Number one, cycles happen. The world, life, living, everything around us takes place in cycles. Coach Vaughn, why is that important? That is important because I want you to first of all give yourselves grace. Okay? That's the one of the first place to start because oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves and we don't forgive ourselves. We are so stuck in the cycle really of unforgiveness and not really the situation itself. The
Mhm.
cycle of the situation, it is just a manifestation of you not forgiving yourself about what you allowed yourself to get into. Make sense?
This is
So
so
that's
good.
the first part. That's the first part about cycles. The second part about cycles I like to discuss is one, self awareness. We have to be aware that these cycles are taking place. Not only do we have to be aware that these cycles are taking place, but we also have to be very strategic about how we unpack why this cycle is taking place.
Mhm.
Okay. So, say for instance, y'all, I used to have this relationship with Oreo cookies, right? So I wanted to not eat these Oreo cookies no more, but they were so good. And I'm like, man, you, girl, you know you shouldn't be eating Oreo cookies. You should, and y'all, this is a true story, y'all. You would hear it on my lives all the time, right? I'm like, man, I know these are not good for me. I really need to give these things up. But here's the thing. I was so stuck on the fact that I was infatuated with the Oreo cookies instead of asking myself, why? So when we become self-aware of a cycle that we're going through, we don't ask ourselves the proper questions. We point blame, right? Whether it was somebody else's fault, it's my mama's fault. It's my daddy's fault. They ate Oreo cookies. You know, it runs in our family, right? We give ourselves these ways out. And what that does to the mind is say, oh, okay, you came up with an answer, so you're okay with that. The question I needed to ask myself is, why do you want Oreo cookies? And when do you want Oreo cookies? So now we need to get down really to the foundation of these cycles that are taking place. You keep going back into that relationship. Why? Maybe there's self-esteem issues. Maybe I lack self-confidence. Maybe I have abandonment issues. Maybe I don't want to be alone. Maybe I just like being in relationships, right? Maybe I just want to play around. It may not necessarily, sometimes what people say it's not that deep. Normally it is, right? So ask yourself the why. And then you ask yourself, when do I want this to take place? So we need to figure out, again, what are some of our triggers? What are some of the things I started to realize? When I'm working late nights, I want a snack, right? When I want a sweet, I feel like, oh, okay, something's going on with my body. I want to go ahead. I'm going through my cycle, girl. Well, you know, we need that chocolate. We need that Kit Kat. We need that sweets, right? This is what we start conditioning our minds to believe. And this is where the cycles take place, right? Yeah. We're aware of it. We need to know the why, and we need to know the when. So since I understood the when, I'm like, oh, okay. So Vaughn, you either need to make sure you're not going to bed too late, or if you have that feeling, what can you replace it with? See, sometimes in cycles, we want to rip stuff, but we don't want to replace it with something else. Mm-hmm. Most of us, this is the way also our brain will be more accepting of it, is if you take it away, replace it with something else instead. Not something else just as addictive, right? You want to do a healthier choice. And then you will, again, relinquish that power. That power won't, the Oreos won't have that power over you no more. Instead of, you know, the dude or the woman or whoever is your weak spot, okay, why do I go to this person? They make me feel beautiful. Well, what else can I do that I can do with myself that is not toxic and that is healthy, that is going to make me feel beautiful? You know what? I'm going to say some affirmations. You know what? Before I depend on someone else to say something to me, I'm going to say it to myself.
I love it.
So these are parts of, again, when you're talking about the cycles and things that we can do. And again, y'all, our brain is a beautiful masterpiece. It's meant to condition us. It's meant to make cycles in our lives easy. But unfortunately, we succumb and we get it on this rhythm of things that are unhealthy for us. It don't want to expend a lot of energy. So it wants to put everything on autopilot. So now, every time Coach Vaughn stays up late and she gets this sugar craving, oh, her brain says to her, you know what? You eat Oreo cookies. So now I don't even think about it. Every time you feel a little something dancing in your pants, oh, she calls this dude. It don't care that he doesn't treat you right, right? It's a cycle.
It's a cycle, a vicious cycle.
Yep.
It can be. So you talked about two things, grace and self-awareness. Are there any others?
Grace, self-awareness. And when I'm talking about the self-awareness, you also need to put in action. You see, that rip and replace is very important, right? Mm-hmm. When we're becoming aware of things, you have to create some type of action plan. They say the best time to fix the roof is when the sun is shining. Yes. We want to wait till it starts raining to go and check the roof. No, you know this was already an issue. Mm-hmm. Before the call, the call comes and it starts getting late. The first of the month, my cousin calls me. always asking for some money. Before that time comes, start preparing yourself mentally. So
Yeah.
again, that rip and replace, very important.
I love it. Rip and replace. I love it. How do you know when? How should one realize that? Okay, now I'm at a point in life, right? We've been through the pandemic. There's been a shift in the world, right, and how we've had to live our lives, and the transition has not always been easy. I know it hasn't been easy for me, and I'm sure most, right, in our life, in our identifying our purpose or in our careers. How do you successfully make this shift? And how do you recognize that you need a life coach to help you get through this, to make this positive shift?
I love it. So the first part is, how do I recognize that I make the shift?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that I need to do to make the shift, right?
Yeah. And do I need a life coach to do it? I mean, when do I realize I need to, all right, what I'm doing ain't working. Let me engage a life coach.
Okay. All right. I love it. Do I need a life coach? All right. So I want to ask you a question. When a car, most people know about cars, even if you don't have a car, right? When do you know you need to get your car checked out?
When the light came on.
When the light come on, what else? What are some other things?
The mileage. I've been driving and driving and driving. And it's like, okay, I know I'm coming up on it's coming. The light might not be on, but the mileage has, told me. Or the car could be, clunking and doing a little jerk and like, wake up, girl. I need some oil or something.
Exactly. It is the same exact way with our bodies, Queen. When we are out of alignment, that's when a shift needs to take place. Think about it. When your tires are not in alignment, like you said, you start jerking and jiving and things start going on. The light comes on. Our lights come on a whole lot during this life. And guess what we do? Oh, well, let me keep it pushing. I got to keep going. I got to keep it moving. Our bodies, when things are happening internally and we're not in alignment, not only with God, but our purpose and ourselves, right? Things start to happen. The diseases that we experience, these headaches, our bodies, it is a physical manifestation of what's taking in place of us internally. And we've been told to suck it up and keep it moving. And the time is really before then, but that is when you're past due your service. By the time the light comes out, you ever gone and got your car checked and that light been on for how long? And then they be like, you know what? If you would have came in sooner, you actually messed things up more because you waited.
I waited.
The car is now overheating. Now you got to get filters replaced. Now the tire then exploded. You know that them treads been and gone bad on that tire, right?
I love
it. It is the same exact way in our lives. But we don't want to slow down long enough to get the maintenance. Here's how and when you should really seek out the assistance of a life coach. Anytime. There is no specific time. And it's the same exact thing with the therapist. Oftentimes, and we're a very reactive society. After something starts happening, right? I mean, if you read the statistics and it is more men than it really is women, and I'm not picking on you kings, it's just facts, right? If you read the statistics of how many of them actually do their annual appointments. As a matter of fact, I heard a guy in the gym the other day, and he just thought it was so slick. He looked like he might have been in his mid-40s. He was working out with some older men, and he was like, man, my back ain't been kind of bothering me, but I ain't going to no doctors. I don't know the last time I've been to the doctors. They ain't getting my money. And they laughed about it. And I'm like, you big dummy. Can I say that, right? And it's the same kind of thought process that we have, unfortunately, even when it comes to our mental health. I don't want to go until it's either too late or it's over the top. How about we be proactive with things? Why even wait till it gets to that? Have a discussion with someone and say, you know what? I want to see some different things take place in my life. And what I'm doing it's not working how I want it to work.
Yes.
We're here to be a sounding board, accountability partner, and help you to see things from a different perspective, because you can only see it from your perspective. It's your experience and your education.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad, but it can be more. It can be different if you allow somebody to partner with you and say, you know what, Queen, don't look at it this way. Or maybe have you considered this?
Mm-hmm.
Or ask thought-provoking questions so you can come up with your own, you know what? Now that you said that, and then new light bulbs goes off, right?
I always say that it is good to have somebody that's not attached to you, not attached to your experiences, that can pour into you and just give you another perspective. It may have been something that you heard years ago and just didn't act on it, but now it's coming up again and this person has told you. All right. And I feel like a lot of times it's God ordained that they sent this person to deposit this at this moment. You know, even though you heard it then, you're in a different place, a different space in life, and it hits different because life be life, and that's a damn shame. But we talked about
can I add something real quick,
sure.
Queen? That when you talked about, you know, how do I know it's time to kind of seek the support of a life coach and
Mm-hmm.
really coming into your passion and purpose? One of the things that I find that is pretty common, but it's very troubling, is that we don't have good baselines for ourselves.
Mm.
So you know how when you get a new car, right? The new car, it rides good. So you have a good baseline to go off of, right? So you know when something kind of starts sputtering or the tire sounds like it may have a bubble, or you like, wait a minute, something's weird, right? Something's going on. But for most of us, because of past trauma, because of past hurt, because of hey, suck it up and keep moving, because I'm the one that everybody goes to and depend on, our baselines are jacked up.
Yes.
Our baselines, they are a culmination of who people feel like we should be, who we think we should be, and has nothing to do with how God made us. So our baseline, so we don't have a good place to kind of recalibrate to.
I love that.
You know, so I feel like that is important for us to understand. If you have that great baseline, understand who you are at your core. And that's what Fly is truly all about. It's about first loving yourself. I can give my best when I have it to give, right? I'm going to take care of me first. And I promise you, I got everybody else, right? But we have been conditioned to believe you are the world is on your shoulder. Everybody comes to you and your family. Everybody talk to you about the problems, the financial. You have little to nothing because you're the go-to, right? And we've been consumed. That's now our identity. So honestly, that's why things are completely out of alignment.
This is so good. Y'all get in them comments if you are enjoying it on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. If you are not doing it already, please follow Life Coach Von Damn Shame Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, Damn Shame Podcast. Y'all share this live. This is some good stuff because we need to hear it. Life be life. And do we have any comments, Nightlife or producer lady, or questions out there?
No questions, but everybody is just loving, giving hearts. Life coach Shell said she can definitely relate. Loving Golden Lux. She, just agreeing with you that everything you're saying is true. Someone else loves all the analogies you give. They just love everything because this is really good.
Thank you. This is so good. That's
same
good.
here. Just a lot of comments saying they agree, and a couple of folks saying how, based on what you've shared, that they realize that they need a life coach.
I see a question on IG from Inspired Chaos. It says, where would the start line for the baseline even be?
That's good. That's good. That's
Mhm.
good. I love it. That is such a great question. And y'all, I had to look back and I shared a little bit of my story in retrospect, and I created this blueprint, right? And the fly, first loving yourself, I came up with this cycle to help with this very thing, creating a baseline. Because what I didn't talk about is the fact that I got into that marriage, y'all, my bad. Right? My fault. I take complete responsibility, right? I no longer blame him. It took maturity, right, for me to really understand,
Mhm.
but that's me. I knew better, right? And I'm saying all that to say is it took me to go through this process to come up with what I call the fly life cycle. Okay. The first stage is self awareness. I'm going to always talk about self awareness, y'all. I know other people can sometimes tell you more about you than they can tell about themselves, but
Mhm.
you got to know for yourself, right? And there's different stages within this self-awareness that I actually take you through, but I'm not gonna, of course, go through all those. But self-awareness, it needs to take place by way of self-reflection. You gotta look at yourselves in the mirror. Y'all, it was ugly. Like Vaughn, you thought that was acceptable to be in a relationship? Come on now, right? You gotta be honest with yourself. And some of us it's so painful because remember, I say after we start self-reflecting, we get stuck on our dumb decisions and our bad mistakes.
Mhm.
That's not the purpose. The purpose of that is to one, you need to get a new identity. Most of us, in order for us to let go of our previous identity, so we won't have to make those same mistakes over and over, where am I starting? Where's my starting point? And that's what happened with that self reflection stage, right? The second stage, this is one of my favorite stages, y'all. I know I love all five. You're going to hear me say it's my favorite about all of them, but it's important. Self forgiveness. That is stage number two. Self forgiveness is stage number two. Now, number one was self identity. This one is the emptying stage. You got to forgive yourselves. You
Yeah.
cannot change the past. You cannot change. So what? You did that. What can we learn from it? How can I take what you've gone through and help you to understand it wasn't meant to deter you? It wasn't meant to define you. It wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to develop you.
Yes.
And once you understand from that perspective, things start to make sense because you can't change the past. Now, how do I take this new information and form who I desire to be or who God has meant for me to be? You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
now you relinquish yourself. Because here's the thing, Queen, I realize some people will forgive their offender quicker than they'll forgive themselves.
Yep. Yep.
That is the hardest thing for people to. I can't believe I keep letting them take advantage of me. I can't believe, I can't. You already forgave them. You still talking to them. Now you all, hey, how you doing? You at least speaking to them, but you beating yourself up inside, right?
Mm, mm,
So that
mm.
is the emptying stage. We identified and we emptied. Stage number three is the self-correction stage. This is where we set boundaries and limit access.
Okay.
We need to set some boundaries in our lives, right? Because
Mhm.
again, when we're talking about creating this baseline of who we are, we gotta go through these processes. Some people are on self-love, self-care kick, but you didn't do the preceding stages. You don't even like yourself. How are you
Hello.
talking about painting yourself as self-love? And we're not talking about the self-care that has to get your hair done, nails done, everything did. That's basic. That's
Basic.
that's basic.
That's surface level, and that's a
Surface, right?
damn shame.
Right? So when we're talking about the self-correction stage, now we're talking about the cleansing stage, right?
I love it.
We have the identity, We have the emptying. Now we're getting rid of. That was the forgiving. We're getting rid of. Now the correction is, now we're going to cleanse this. This is where we're cleansing our palate, right? You're creating new boundaries, and now you're saying, here is my cost of admissions. And if you're unwilling to pay it, you can't come in this place.
Hello.
And I give the quick, and I won't go too much into this, but another analogy that I talk about to help people to understand the self-correction and why boundaries are so important. Two reasons. One, got to give it to God. If you believe what I believe, and if you don't, it's okay. I ain't mad at you. I don't push on what I believe on anybody, and I respect it, right? But if you believe I believe, God understood the importance of boundaries so much that was the very first thing that we learned that he did. In the beginning, God created heavens and earth. The earth was formless and without void. He created the night from day. He created the land from the sea. He was creating boundaries. Why was he creating boundaries? Because without boundaries, there is sheer chaos. There's chaos.
So good.
You have chaos in your life because you lack boundaries. And some of the boundaries is oftentimes not necessarily with other people. Sometimes they're with yourself. Sometimes you have not put measures in place to ensure that, look, a thief is going to steal. If you leave your car door open, if you leave your house open, they are thieves. You mad at the thief. That's who they show you who they are. Who's the silly one? You haven't put some measures in place, right? So God, in his word, he understood the importance of boundaries, right?
Yes, from the very beginning.
From the very beginning. Analogy that I give is, kind of real world, a club. When you go to a club, let's say, Queen, you go to a real nice club, right? What is one of the first things that happen when you go to a really nice club? When you even walk up, what happens?
Well, there's a VIP lounge. There's a VIP line. There's a VIP, and they separate the VIPs from the common people.
From the common people, right? Once you got a VIP line and you got the common people line, before you even get into the club, what do they do? What do they do?
They search you.
They search you. They check your ID, and they make sure that you're appropriately dressed to partake in their establishment. We ain't doing enough checks. We ain't doing enough separating of people that comes into our lives. We want to allow everybody to be VIP. That's why you all messed up. That's
my God.
People standing up on your furniture, breaking your shit, right? Because you're just allowing anybody in there. They are first identifying, who are you? Who did you say that you are? Let me make sure.
What caliber a person are you? How's your character?
Dressed correctly?
How you living? How you showing up?
And that you're not even inside the club yet. They have admissions and VIP. Guess what they do? They pay the cost.
Yes.
They pay the cost. General admissions, you stand up and you may or may not get a seat at the bar. Feet be on fire, right? Yes. And they make sure they treat their VIP as such because what? They pay the cost. But Queen, even with the VIP, not everybody is allowed behind the bar.
No.
There's a different group of individuals who had to go through what? They had to go through background checks. They had to go through reference. Yeah. And even them, they're not even allowed in the manager's office. They don't have access to the manager's safe. And that's why we don't have good baselines because of those boundaries issues. And a part of that self-correction, I'm going to go on because I can stay there all day. It's such a good part. But boundaries and correction, that's stage number 3. You see why that's the cleansing stage? Because now you're creating, okay, I've gone through this part. Now here's where I'm going to get things in order. Yes. 4th is self-love. Self-love, again, self-care is part of it. Self-love is loving yourself in spite of. It is peace in spite of chaos.
I love it.
It is peace in spite of chaos, in spite of confusion. That's self-love. I don't care what everybody else is really going to think or going to feel. I'm feel good about me. It makes sense with me and my Heavenly Father. That's self-love. Self-love looks like self-development. That looks like investing in yourself. Self-love looks like saying, no, I would love to, but unfortunately, or not even necessarily unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
That's self-love.
Yeah.
I
don't
love
have the
myself
capacity
enough
for it.
to disconnect from you if you are paining me. That's self-love.
Mm.
And the fifth and final stage I call self-commitment.
Love it.
Self-commitment looks like getting up and doing all of those stages over and over again with intentionality each day.
Mm.
The the self-love part, that was the filling stage. The fifth part, the self-commitment, that was the maintenance stage.
Mm.
So that is how you create a good baseline. That's
Mm.
what I had to do to discover who I truly was, Queen.
This is
Outside of that marriage, that was it.
This is so good. I'm going to recap them. Awareness is number 1, self-awareness, self-forgiveness, self-correction is 3, self-love, and then self-commitment. I absolutely, if you want a strong baseline, that's where you get it. That's how you get it. And that is so, 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 so good. Y'all get in those comments, send some hearts, like, love, share, follow. This is some good stuff. Oh my goodness. How do we declutter our thoughts? And I know we're coming up on the 1 hour mark, but there are a few more questions. How do we declutter our thoughts? Sometimes I could be laying in the bed, or I'm in the bathroom, or I'm in the shower, and my mind is 110 miles per hours because I'm thinking about all of the things that I have that are coming up on the horizon, from family to business to personal to how do we declutter our thoughts and slow down that cycle of I got to do, I got to get, I got to do, I got to get.
I love it. So it's a very simple kind of tool, a brain dump to declutter your thoughts. A brain dump. Just get it all out, right? You can either write it down. There are apps. Otter app is one, OTTER is one of the apps that I love and recommend. If you go on Google has a voice recording app, and just talk it all out. Just get it all out. See, a lot of times we just want to make sense of what's going on in our heads. Even the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. It means get it out your head and put it on paper, right? Yeah. We want to organize it and categorize it and make it sound pretty and no, just get it all out of your head. Yeah. Once it's all out of your head, then you can kind of go through and look and see what is worth my time. Because a part of decluttering is we need to let go of some stuff. Some of the stuff it's not our responsibility to save the world, save everybody, and do everything. As a matter of fact, again, shout out to Fly Life Coaching Academy. Some of the coaches are still on here hanging out with me. I shared with them a tool that I oftentimes recommend. It's called the Eisenhower Matrix, right? It's our Eisenhower Matrix. And what that does, it helps with time management. It helps with prioritization. Because yes, we have a lot of clutter in our head, but once you get it out your head, it may sound overwhelming. Once you put it on paper, you're like, oh my God, my to-do list keeps growing. That's what everybody always say, right? Some of that, we really need to say, delegate it, do it, schedule it, or delete it. That is what the Eisenhower Matrix does. It helps you to understand based on importancy and urgency, right? So the things that are both important and urgent, you do that. That's what you need to do. Something that only it will take your skills and your talents to do, right? If it is important but not urgent, which is the right side of this quad, this is something that you schedule, right? something that is important but not urgent is exercising. We should be scheduling exercising. We should be scheduling resting. I say it all the time. People laugh at me. If I want to sit in my house and scratch my tit all day, right? I'm going to schedule that. That's what I want to do. I deserve to do that, right?
Yes.
Rest is extremely important. Now, in this bottom half of this matrix, right? You have it's important, but not urgent, right? Those are the tasks like cleaning the house. We got some grown kids sometimes.
Yes.
And cook your own food, right? My 9-year-old, we're teaching him to wash his own clothes, right? Yes. Start giving some of these tasks to other individuals. You don't have to clean everything. So what, you don't like how he fold the towels? Let him fold the towels.
Yes, yes.
If you don't necessarily like it, ask him, hey, do you mind if I show you a different way, or deal with it the way that it is? We do not have to do everything. And then on this other part of this quadrant, it is both not urgent and not important. Those are the things we need to delete. So get it out of your head, do a brain dump, categorize it, and see where does it go in on this matrix. Some of these things we literally need to delete.
I love it. I love it. The Eisenhower metrics.
Matrix. Yeah, Eisenhower matrix. Yeah, Eisenhower
I
matrix.
I love it. So here's the last question before we play a little game.
Okay.
I hear this term imposter syndrome. Let's talk more about that and what it is, and if we're, if we are ones that do that, let's identify with that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you bring that up. Shout out to Escapade to Expansion. That is a coaches collaboration. Blessed to be connected with some beautiful, beautiful queens. And we're actually talking about this on Wednesday on our live. So about, imposter syndrome and things like that. Taking off the mask is, what we're talking about for the theme of October, right? So when we're talking about imposter syndrome, it's funny because when you hear imposter syndrome, I'm gonna ask you that question. When you hear imposter syndrome or have heard of it, what was maybe your initial thought, even if that's not, or if you're not exactly sure what it is?
You're kind of fake and phony, you just
fake and phony, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so imposter syndrome. So there's really two sides of that imposter syndrome. When we're talking about fake and phony, it is really not necessarily from the perspective of you being something that you're not. That's not really what that term is talking about.
Okay.
What they're talking about as it pertains to imposter syndrome is you're feeling unworthy or inadequate of what it is that you're actually capable of. That's imposter syndrome. Okay, so say for instance, a doctor, a woman who's a doctor, right? She gets an award at work and she's like, I don't feel like I'm deserving of this. That's she feels like she's being an imposter, but she's actually credentialed for it. Which all of us at one time or another definitely, I believe, experience it, right? There are some times where there are more extreme cases, right? There's this internal battle where, man, I don't really feel like I can sit at the table with these people, but you've done the work, right?
That is so me. This is so good. This is so good.
So we start identifying, we'll show up, but we're truly not showing up as powerful because we have this internal struggle. Okay. So there's a couple of things that we can do to, deal with the imposter syndrome, right? And then there are some people, they internally withdraw, right? They don't feel like they're deserving and they show up that way. Then there's this other group of people that rah, 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 I got it, but still internally don't feel like they're deserving of it. You see what I'm saying? So there are multiple sides of it. So, in order to really deal, from my perspective, one of the ways, there are plenty of ways to deal with imposter syndrome, right? This is not just the only way. But the ways that I've been actually able to help, and I've had butterfly queens that have struggled with this, because my clientele base, there are six, seven figure earners, very successful, career driven women, and they deal with this a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things is first understanding where it possibly stems from, right? Because that is kind of where, remember, I told you, like, therapists over here, life coaches over here. That's some of the time we have to see where it really stems from, because I have to first diagnose. And when I'm talking about diagnose, meaning understand what your problem is, not to say this is what's going on with you.
Yeah.
I need to truly understand before I can kind of help work on a strategy, right? So, one, we're going to understand, like, well, what makes you feel that way?
Mm-hmm.
So let's come on. We got a little bit of time. Come on, let's go through this. You said you're dealing with it. Let's work through it. Come on. Why do you feel like you are experiencing or have experienced in the past imposter syndrome?
I know that I have the credentials. I know, the credentials from my education and just life, career experiences that I can fit in any environment. But sometimes I guess my own insecurities make me, or it might be the adversary. It might, I don't know what it is. It makes me feel like I am not always worthy of having the success that I've had, or I don't know. It just, I feel like, I'm like a little girl sometimes behind closed doors, like, how did I do this? But when I have to open the door, I have to show up in who I am. Kiki is different from my government name. These are two different people. I show up as Kiki. I can have this platform and talk. And not that it's fake or phony, because everything that I'm giving y'all is truly from the bottom of my heart. But in my little girl moments, I feel like, oh my gosh, I got a podcast. I'm talking to all these people that I don't know, which I do that anyway. I can go and be in the store or wherever, and people gravitate to me. And my circle of friends say, you always bringing, look, no new friends, and I'm like, no, everybody, I love. Everybody can come along. And so I think that is my personality. That is who I am. But sometimes, when I don't feel as secure, maybe because of my weight or, the super surface level stuff, am I articulating this? Yes, on paper, I'm a physics and engineering major and, graduated, and I have these degrees and, but all of that, that's people ask me, so I've heard, some people in my family say, why don't you have your degrees on the wall? And I'm like, for what? Who does that? Do people do that? But I know people do that, but that ain't who I am. That's not who I don't want to be known as that. Know that I can't stand up in that environment. I just had a home built, and I tell the builders, and I don't even want to call their names. I said, listen, these plans, the girl could build her own damn house, okay? Stop playing with me, good old white boys, and understand, don't undermine my intellect, because give me about 5 minutes and sit there. I can sit down and hang with the best of the best. So you can't tell me that the grading is this and this, so, and I don't like to be challenged, for my intellect. So I show up, but then in my little girl moments, I'm like, oh my gosh, did I just say that to them? So maybe it is imposter syndrome because I'm doing it. I'm showing up and I'm getting results. I'm going to lean in at the table. But, I guess I came from a background where my mother was like, don't ever let them see you sweat. Even if you cry, you go in the bathroom. But when you come out, you make sure that they see someone who's strong and someone who's assertive and someone that's a go-getter and can be able to articulate what they want and what they need and get results. And so, I don't know. Maybe Imposter pyramid.
I love it. Thank you
I
so
love
much for
it.
sharing. See, y'all, this is what coaches do. They create, and she didn't drink all the rest of it. She was like, I didn't even mean to drink. I didn't mean to say all that. It just came out, right? But you said some important things. You said it, and this is why, again, it is extremely important to have a coach. The way that you ran that off, that was all in your head, right? And you just wanted to kind of get it out, right? It made you feel a little bit better, right? That you just, I just got that out, right? So that's one of the first parts. But another thing that a coach does, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you didn't say. One of the things that you talked about, and I also heard some of the things, of course, that you did say, but there's more there. You kept referring to your insecurities. In the midst of your talking, you pointed out your weight. Another part, you talked about your upbringing. Okay? So if you take the parts of your upbringing, someone told you this. You didn't get an opportunity to really develop this on your own. And this is a part of the being out of alignment. I am doing this, I am acting this way because I was told this is the way I am to behave. But ideally, Kiki is a firecracker. Kiki will probably snap back. And she's from Baltimore. We ain't talking about that, y'all. Right? She would probably, honestly, if Kiki kind of had her way, she would really do some of those things. But because of her insecurities, the little girl that's inside of her that feels frightened and concerned about, even though she is fine as a mug over there, and I know she like her curves, there's some things she feel like I can kind of work on. And these things may impact or impede my ability to really embrace this completely. Because come on, I talk about it. We have beliefs, and that's where imposter syndrome really focuses in on your beliefs. Your beliefs are formed by these ways, and this is what I'm saying: education and experiences. Your mother educated you a certain way, and some of your experiences have led you to understand that, you know what? They may want certain people who kind of look like this and who sounds like this and who act like this. That causes us to shape our beliefs. Now, how do we work through imposter syndrome? We need new education and we need new experiences. And you also need to stop telling yourselves that story. You have told and identified with yourself to say, this is how people see me. This is how things are. And I say, if you're going to tell yourself a story, you might as well tell yourself one where you win at the end.
I love it.
And you're telling yourselves the wrong story. When you're dealing with imposter syndrome, you're saying, I'm not deserving. What starts to happen when you say, you know what? The word of God says that I am his child. He has riches stored up for me. He has, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Philippians 4:19 says what? God shall supply all of our needs according to his riches and glory. So this is really not about you. And
girl, you are one.
Really start to embrace the king, what the word of God says. It's not that I'm bragging or braggadocious. No, I am his child. And he says, what I speak, he's given me the same exact power, the same power that he used to speak this world into existence is the same that he gave me. So that's why it's important for us to speak these words of life over ourselves.
I love it.
Imposter syndrome, you are succumbing to what the devil says about you and what the world, he don't want you to be your fly self. Because when we step into our truth and our authenticity, how God has made us, we're unstoppable. And they don't want that to happen. So they give us these labels and these terms, and then they strip them away from us. And once they're stripped away from us, then we're left with nothing. That's why we have to stop identifying ourselves with these labels that the world and people try to pose on us.
Or we put out on ourselves.
Or we pose on ourselves. But it's normally because, again, oftentimes externally, and then we accept them.
Yes. Girl, where I sign up? Shit. Oh my goodness. This is so good, y'all. I'm telling you, this is the real essence of why life coaches are so valuable and important. The things that you have said, it's not that I have not heard them before. It is what you're depositing and how you are just peeling back those layers to say, now here's where you are, Kiki, at your life, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you need to show up, and these are the tools to break the cycles and to start new cycles that are healthy.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It's a check-in point, right? It's that maintenance. Remember, it's that maintenance. We're still holding on to who we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Nah, we've been through so many different things, and that has created a new one of us. I need to rediscover myself. And I use the term because that's the term that a lot of people use, but I don't like the rediscovery. No, who do you want to be at this point in time?
Yeah.
A GPS asks you what? Before it asks you where you want to go, it wants to know your current location. It don't care about where you were 5 years ago if that's not where you are today. And that's what some of us hold on to. I want to be that size 2. I want to be this person who I was back then. No. Life has given you some beautiful treasures.
Yes.
And if we just embrace them, you can really walk into, and that's why I love butterflies so much. That's that butterfly life cycle, the metamorphosis. Each one of those stages are pertinent to who we have intended to
totally
be.
Is.
You may be called a caterpillar. It may be look ugly at this point, but you've always had the DNA of a butterfly.
Yes.
And if you keep holding on to that promise, you will go through those processes with grace. Each one of them are intentional. And that goes back to the cycle, right?
Yes.
The cycles are important. And we fight against the cycles.
Yes.
Okay.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I have a quick game, and it's aligned with, what you have told your community and what, somewhat what you've shared with us tonight. And life and death is in the power of the tongue. And you talk about be careful of what you speak, right? So this game is entitled it, you can say that again, or that would be a no. So I'm going to go through a list of phrases, and you can give me you can say that again, or that would be a no. Okay. Because we say them quite often, especially in the Black community, right? How about this phrase? If it ain't one thing, it's another. I take that as it would be a no.
That's going to be a no.
Okay. And we can come back and revisit some of these. How about take care of home first?
Say that again.
Okay. My pockets ain't deep.
That'll be a no.
All right. I'm a baller on a budget.
That'll be a no.
Okay. If you know better, you do better.
Say that again.
Okay. Ain't no good men or women out here.
That'll be a no.
Every time I turn around, it's always something.
That'll be a no.
You damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
That'll be a no.
Love is patient.
That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one, y'all.
Come back to that one.
That's a tricky one.
Okay.
The intentions behind that may not necessarily be as clean.
Okay. How about this? I wish a nigga would.
I love it, but that'll be a no. I love it.
Okay. You always got something to say.
That'll be a no.
Okay, family over everything.
That'll be a no.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we're gonna come back to it. You're the best thing since sliced bread.
That's a good one too. What's the other one? I've been saying that'll be a no so much. What's the other one? What is my other response to it if it's okay?
The positive is you can say that again.
You can say that again. You can say that
Okay,
again.
okay. You're the best thing since sliced bread. You can say that again. You in your own world.
You can say that again.
You gonna fuck around and find out.
Yeah. I want to say you can say that again. The Baltimore me, right? But since I'm keeping on my coach's hat, right? I'm keeping on for the purpose of my coach's hat, right? Keep it on my coach's hat. That'll be a no.
Okay, and haters gonna hate.
That'll be a no.
Okay, all right. Well, that was it for the game.
Awesome.
But that's good. That's some
I love it.
interesting things. I mean, because life and death is in the power of the tongue.
Absolutely.
And I know that I say it's one phrase that I always say, producer lady, come off me so you can tell me that she hates when I say, oh, it's never a dull moment. I say that all the time.
Yeah, we definitely have to be very careful. The one phrase, if I can sum up the things that I said, you can say that again versus that'll be a no. I want y'all to remember this simple phrase. Wherever your awareness goes, energy flows. Wherever your awareness goes, energy flows. All right? So some of these things are literally self-manifestations, right? Why is it a need to say if it ain't one thing, it's another? Why do we feel a need to say it? We already know life be lifing. We already know that. Don't give it more energy than it deserves. What we do is we succumb to the negative and we become a victim. We become a slave to our circumstances when we say words like that. When we say phrases like, when it rains, it pours. If it ain't one thing, it's another. I'm robbing Peter to pay. Well, all of those things, we're succumbing to our circumstance. And if we succumb to our circumstances, that means you stay in the situation much longer than you were intended to be. Yeah. So instead of us, again, and here's the brain science behind it, right? One, there's so much research that's done on negative thinking. Literally, that causes diseases in our body. 70% of, again, research-based, 70% of the diseases that we actually experience in our bodies are self-inflicted and self-imposed. It's because of stress. It's because of anxiety. It's because we put ourselves and our body's like, what is going on? I'm not supposed to. These are not hereditary things. These are not genetic things. These are things because of what we eat, what we expose ourselves to. We're literally causing the dis-ease in our bodies.
Yes.
And part of that is literally, some of this is negative thinking. Chemicals are being released in our bodies, and our bodies are on overload. So it is attempting to, hey, I'm trying to deal with it the best way that I can, right? So back to this kind of negative thinking piece, when we're actually talking about these things in our brain, we cannot logically find answers to problems when we say things like that. When you're saying, if it ain't one thing, it's another, you're pissed off because this keeps happening to you.
Yeah.
When you start to change your language and say, what do I need to learn from this? Immediately, your brain starts to find an answer. Therefore, you can be presented with some type of answers or some type of, oh, okay, all right, let's say your tire blew, right? You on the way to work, you're already late for work, and your tire blew. Dang. Instead of being pissed off about it, because one, you cannot change it, start thinking logically. One, what happened? What happened? One, you knew you still had, you keep getting that tire plug. You done got that tire plug 8 times. You knew you needed another tire.
Mm-hmm.
Two, why are you running late for work? You need to get some things changed. Why are you pissed off at everybody else driving like you crazy? No, get up a little bit earlier and then leave the house. You would have given her. So you see, if you start literally thinking and asking yourself questions, you can actually solve problems so you won't even run into these issues anymore.
Yes.
So you'll mitigate them, you'll minimize them. Again, peace is in spite of chaos. How can I keep myself together even while things are going crazy around me?
Mm-hmm.
And y'all, these are things that I have learned over years, y'all. I used to be clapback queen. I'm a Leo. Let's be clear. This mouth, this attitude, all of this stuff, right? But I had to literally start embracing these concepts, and they have made me a much nice. My kids like me. My husband loves me, right? There were some points where my attitude and me and my reactions to things, people ain't even like being around me. Who wants that, right?
Yeah.
So we need to stop putting our mouths negative because it's not helpful. Start asking yourself, is what I just said helpful to the situation? Is it going to help me solve a problem?
Absolutely.
One last thing I'll say, Queen. One of some of the other phrases you've been saying that I had to say, it'll be a no. We have already written the end of the book or the chapter. We're already telling ourselves how I wish a nigga would. You already getting your brain hyped. That amygdala is like, oh, we about to throw down. We're preparing for war.
Yeah.
What happens when that threat brain turns on? You literally, blood drains from your prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of your logical thinking brain, and it prepares to fight, flight, or fright. You're not thinking straight. So sometimes when we get ourselves excited to have a conversation, oh, she called me, you're already, and the person could be saying something so nice and so kind to you. Guess what? Your brain is going to process it as a threat.
Right.
It cannot switch that quickly.
Yeah.
So we need to really be able to pause and really start thinking, taking the higher road. That's what that literally means in your brain. Primitive way of thinking is the base of your brain. When it says take the higher road, that means think logically. Does that situation call for that reaction? You all getting pumped and hyped for what? You all getting angry and sad and scared for what? No, how can we navigate this and be aware of it to make sure it don't happen next time?
I love it. I love it. This is so good. Thank you so much for being here, Life Coach Von. This was truly amazing. How can people follow you? You have affirmation cards, things out there that will help if they're interested in you having you as their life coach. How can they find you?
I am Life Coach Vaughn on everything. I went and snatched up everything, right? And that's VON, Life Coach Vaughn. I am on TikTok. I am on Instagram. I am on, and if you go to meetlifecoachvon, VON.com, all of my links are there. There are places that I'll be speaking at. There are things, again, that I have. I have affirmation cards. I have journals. I have my daughter, and I'm so excited about this, Queen. I really want to give them shout outs. So my daughter's Tamir, she has a business called So Torn Designs. And I wanted to start providing accessories for queens. Like I wanted to, and it still is embodied in the whole Life Coach Vaughn brand, but I want to have accessories that have meaning behind them. And it's a walking affirmation. So my daughter, she made these beautiful handbags. They're in different sizes. I love them. They got butterflies on them, the things that really embody the Life Coach Vaughn brand. Affirmation cards to help you speak a more luxury language instead of that discounted dialect, speaking life over your finances, how you literally do that. And a lot of that research really came from Bible, right? How does God view our finances? And I put those things really on the affirmation cards. So you all can go there and get all of those things.
And what's the site again?
The site is meetlifecoachvon.com. Now, the jewelry and the handbags are not on there as of yet. I have beautiful crystals and stones that Tareen, my other daughter, made. She's an entrepreneur as well. Her and my daughter Ryan. Go to meetlifecoachvon.com. So, yep,
I
get in
love it.
there. I'd be more than happy to help you.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, thank you so much for being here. Y'all, if you haven't done so, hit that follow button, like, subscribe. Y'all, we are here every other Monday. So we will be back October 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard